Welcome back to the channel. Today we bring you a shocking story unfolding beyond India's borders, a story of violence, of deepening chaos, and of a nation increasingly unable to protect its own soldiers. In the borderlands of Pakistan's North Waziristan, a devastating suicide car bombing has targeted a military convoy. The attackers struck with merciless precision, leaving behind a trail of bodies, twisted metal, and smoldering disbelief. According to Pakistani authorities, at least 14 soldiers have lost their lives, with more than 24 others, including civilians, reported injured. Some local media sources have claimed the numbers may be even higher. This attack took place near Khadi Market in Mir Ali, in the troubled region of North Waziristan, a place that has become a graveyard of fragile ceasefires and empty promises. Reports suggest the attackers used a vehicle loaded with nearly 800 kilograms of explosives, deliberately ramming it into a convoy of mine-resistant vehicles belonging to Pakistan's bomb disposal forces. In that one blinding moment, dreams were crushed, families destroyed, and Pakistan's fragile grip on its own security was exposed for the world to see. Soon after, a faction linked to the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, known as the Hafiz Gul Bahadur group, stepped forward to claim responsibility for the bombing. They boasted of carrying out what they described as a sacred strike against Pakistan's military presence. This is the same group, according to independent security analysts, that has been gaining strength ever since the Taliban returned to power in Afghanistan in 2021. Cross-border havens have given these militants breathing room, helping them plan and execute brutal attacks deep inside Pakistani territory. Within hours, Pakistan's top military leadership, including Field Marshal Asim Munir, condemned the assault with harsh language. Yet in the same breath, they pointed a finger toward India, repeating old accusations that India somehow sponsors such groups. India's Ministry of External Affairs swiftly rejected these claims, calling them baseless and irresponsible. New Delhi reminded the world that blaming India cannot cover up Pakistan's own failures in fighting militancy within its borders. These statements, coming so quickly after the attack, reveal how Pakistan's leadership tries to deflect public anger rather than address the root causes festering at home. To understand just how grim this situation is, consider these numbers. In 2024 alone, Pakistan reported 444 terror-related incidents. Those left behind a body count of over 685 soldiers and more than 1,600 civilians. In the first quarter of 2025, terror attacks have already crossed the halfway mark of the previous year's total, with hundreds of casualties being counted across Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. For ordinary people in these regions, bombings have become an ugly routine, as common as roadblocks or power cuts. Imagine living in such a place, where every day might end in a funeral. The morale of Pakistan's Frontier Corps, the paramilitary backbone of its northwest, is visibly collapsing. According to various local reports, many soldiers are refusing postings in the most dangerous districts. Others have left the force altogether, unwilling to risk their lives for what they see as a lost cause. And this is not a small matter. When your best trained soldiers abandon the front lines, your entire national security begins to rot from within. The roots of this chaos run deep. Experts trace them to Pakistan's decades-long policy of supporting militant groups as instruments of regional strategy. The world saw this play out in Afghanistan for years, and now the same seeds have grown thorns that stab Pakistan itself. After the Taliban retook Kabul in 2021, splinter factions of the TTP found fresh hope. They began crossing back and forth, finding weapons, safe houses, and ideological cover from their cousins in Afghanistan. Afghanistan's new Taliban rulers, despite promises to rein in militants, have so far failed to stop these cross-border attacks. The result is a Pakistan caught in the blowback of its own geopolitical gambles. Add another player to this mess: China. China has billions invested in Pakistan through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It tried to broker a settlement between Islamabad and Kabul, hoping that stability would protect its roads, pipelines, and trade routes. But even China's quiet diplomacy has not stopped the violence. Because for groups like the TTP, their war is not about economics. It is about identity, revenge, and control. This puts Beijing in an awkward spot, watching its investments burn, while Pakistan's leadership struggles to control territory right on China's strategic doorstep. Meanwhile, Field Marshal Asim Munir has continued raising the old slogans on Kashmir. In a fiery address just days ago, he accused India of threatening regional stability and painted Pakistan as the only just defender of Muslim rights in South Asia. But these dramatic speeches ring hollow when his own soldiers are being slaughtered by groups nurtured inside Pakistan's own borders. It's a classic misdirection. To talk of Kashmir, even as your own house is engulfed in flames. Beyond the military chaos, Pakistan faces social fractures that are just as dangerous. In Sindh, nationalist groups accuse Punjabi elites of stealing their water and resources. In Baluchistan, separatists have carried out repeated attacks on infrastructure, energy lines, and even Chinese-backed projects. The data is shocking. Baluchistan alone has seen a 26% rise in violent incidents since 2022. Sindh is simmering with protests over land grabs and water diversions. Together, these movements signal a nation fraying from within. Globally, Pakistan's terror networks still cast a long shadow. If the current pattern holds, Pakistan may see even more bloodshed spilling into its cities, not just its border districts. That could destabilize trade routes, energy security, and even diplomatic balances across South Asia. It is a threat no one in the region can afford to ignore. Can Pakistan change course? Experts believe it will take a fundamental shift in strategy. Abandoning the use of extremist proxies, cracking down on safe havens, and investing in real social stability. China may push Islamabad to do this, but domestic pressures are powerful, and as long as the military focuses more on narratives than on reform, peace will remain a distant dream. When soldiers leave their posts, when civilians no longer trust their protectors, when entire provinces cry for independence, these are not isolated events. They are symptoms of a state under severe strain. Pakistan's repeated attempts to shift the blame, whether to India, Afghanistan, or the West, will not solve its problem. It is Pakistan itself that must confront this deep disease. For India, these developments are a reason to stay alert, but also to stay patient. A collapsing neighbor is dangerous, yes, but so is the temptation to get drawn into its chaos. New Delhi's measured responses through international channels remain the best course. Because if there is one truth history has taught, it is this. When a nation sponsors monsters, sooner or later those monsters come home. What happened in Mir Ali is not just another headline. It is a warning, a signal that the cycle of violence and blame cannot continue forever. Pakistan has choices to make, and they are running out of time. India, meanwhile, will continue to safeguard its own people, defend its values, and work with the global community to stop terror at its roots. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe to the channel and stay with us for more in-depth, balanced analysis. Share your thoughts in the comments below and stay vigilant. Stay informed.